I normally don't talk about recent news on this channel, but given what this story represents for the state of the industry, I felt compelled to make an exception. So, longtime viewers might remember my review of Child of Light, a game that I found to be a charming homage to classic JRPGs, due in no small part to its mesmerizing visuals and superb soundtrack. It's the kind of game that, while not without its flaws, could really do for a sequel if only to see what type of writing style that they'd adopt for it. Sadly, the chances of it ever getting one appear to be pretty low according to a new interview with the first game's director, Plourde, who stated that it's not the kind of game that Ubisoft wants to make anymore since a sequel can be turned into a games as a service. If this is true, well, disappointing would be putting it mildly. I say if it's true because I do have a slight reservation about the validity of the statement. See, Ubisoft pulled something similar to this in 2017 with Beyond Good and Evil 2, where the game's director Michel Ancel said it wouldn't appear at E3 due to how little development had actually occurred, only for the exact opposite to happen. Additionally, Plourde has previously teased Child of Light 2 when showing off the Switch port. That said, we're still about a month away from this year's E3, Plourde has said he's regretted teasing Child of Light 2, and Ubisoft's current output is its own evidence that what he's claiming appears to be true. I'm not going to beat the dead horse that is how anti-consumer, anti-art the games as a service model is. There's no shortage of better videos out there telling you just that, link in the description for just one of them, nor will I pretend this is as bad or worse than the widespread abuse that is crunch in the industry, the latter of which has seen some truly horrific stories come out in recent months. Nevertheless, this being the reason for the unlikelihood of a sequel to Child of Light 2 is an indictment of how creatively stagnant and cravenly capitalistic the industry has become, or at least more blatantly so, in the same vein that Disney's combination of consolidation of competitors and continuous recreation of their classic films is unhealthy for the film industry. It's not a perfect comparison. Ubisoft's gains don't take up anywhere near the same market share as Disney's films do at the box office. Their gains aren't as lacking in variety as Disney's live-action films, or if we're comparing them to a video game publisher, the likes of Konami, whose releases are soccer games and ports of older games made by the people that drove away and or fired, but that doesn't make the current scenario ideal when so many of their recent or upcoming releases seem poised to promote this gas framework regardless of their respective genres. Sure, Child of Light had those gem packs you could buy, but whatever else could be said about Child of Light, I totally get why some people are turned off by the dialogue being entirely in rhymes. It adopted a fundamentally different design approach that stood out among the crowded crew of AAA titles when it was first revealed, and part of the reason why stemmed from it standing alongside the then current releases by Ubisoft. By 2014, Assassin's Creed games were being churned out on a yearly basis, the Rabbit series had been milked dry, and new IPs were few and far between. And what few that were being made were built on what's been now dubbed the Ubisoft game model, i.e. an open sandbox, generic protagonists, competent gameplay, a billion special editions, etc. So when Child of Light showed up, looking and playing like no other game Ubisoft or any AAA developer was making during that same time period, it felt like Ubisoft was going off script. This was around the same time that the equally brilliant Valiant Hearts and Grow Home came out, the three of which seemed to indicate that Ubisoft might regularly publish smaller AAS titles, remember when those were a thing, alongside their yearly releases of Just Dance. Granted, this was also the same year where we got 2 Assassin's Creed games instead of the usual one, but factoring in the length of time that these games take to be made, and how long ago they were likely greenlit, it seemed that things were changing, and we might see more unique IPs on a more frequent basis instead of the usual trotting out of Trials and Tom Clancy. Speaking of different, as the interview notes, which I highly recommend reading, it goes into a lot of detail about the original's development and the premise that the sequel might have gone with, Child of Light was relatively free of crunch, and everyone working on the game was clearly passionate about what they were making, something which shows in the final product. Inside and out of the company, it looked like things might have been changed for Ubisoft. Obviously, that did not end up happening. Nearly all of Ubisoft's games since then have been related to one of their existing franchises. Tom Clancy's games have been joining Assassin's Creed on the yearly release bus, and any new IP like For Honor, Atomega, and Starlink have been designed with its gas model in mind. Even Beyond Good and Evil 2, a sequel to a game that was made well before the term microtransactions reared its wretched head, seemed poised to adopt a design that is antithetical to the carefully crafted, single-player focused original, at least going by the questions that one survey asked. Honestly, the only real surprise that's come out of Ubisoft since Grow Home is Mario and Rabbids, which is only a shocker in that so many actually remember the Rabbids series. Again, this is not even close to the largest issue that's harming the medium or the people that are working in it, but it is the latest in a series of symptoms that have left me completely exhausted with my favorite hobby and the video game industry as a whole. Between the adversity towards historical preservation, crunch of any sort, and the games as a service model that is smothering every major video game company at the moment, this abusive, avaricious, arts-diverse, industry intent on increasingly iterative IP installments is nothing short of indefensible at this point. That's all for now, folks. Until next time, game on, my friends.